Yo, Caesar here. Before we start, let's have a little mic check. Hopefully I'm audible. Yeah, loud and clear. So, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone watching and everyone who will be watching once the live stream has ended. And yeah, welcome back to Goodbye 2020 Racing Series, presented by SimNation India. We are in race 3. Last time we met was in the first race of this 4-race series, and it's good to be back. We missed one race, the second race, as I wasn't available, but here I am bringing you all the action from the legendary Circuit de la Sarthe, or Le Mans, however you want to call it. The car is, of course, the McLaren P1 LM GT, if I'm not wrong, GTR. Yeah, McLaren P1 GTR. So quite a rapid car on the straights, but quite tricky through the corners as well. So driver skills will come into effect and for everyone to see. Courtesy the long straights, separated by 2 chicanes, they should test out who's the bravest in the braking zones coming into those chicanes. So side-by-side action, I think that will be quite interesting to see. The slipstream and the straight line speed that comes along with these cars. We should be in for a really good race tonight. While we wait for the drivers to join in, let's have a look who's in the lobby at the moment. So Shami is driving a white McLaren. RKV is running quite interesting. Good looking McLaren, red and white. Shaz in the, how do you pronounce this? Iridescent. I think that's what the paint job is called. And Fun Anyway in the standard livery. Dan Lott in the green and white. He is lagging a bit, so hopefully this does not hamper his or other drivers' races when the race has started. So it has gone. Abhi Thakur has given the green signal, so we wait for the countdown timer to hit 0, and we should be starting with our race. So 10 drivers on the grid, decent number, so we should be getting pretty good action. So standing grid start as opposed to the rolling start, and Ancient Pleb, who is one of the biggest drivers in the country, is starting P7, so it should be interesting to see how he manages to make his way through the field. We'll stay on board. Let me just, yeah, everything is on. Wait for the race to start, and what a brilliant start from FSB. RKV not getting the best of start, but I think he's managed to stay right in front. FSB under attack from, Abhi Thakur already. He is forcing a penalty, so that must have been some collision or some minor contact, and the game penalty system isn't the best. And Abhi Thakur sends it down the inside. FSB losing positions all around, and Ancient Pleb they had to take the the corner on the right, and he has to cut that corner, but luckily for him there is no time penalty, so he's up into P4, made up 3 positions within the few corners. FSB getting that penalty at the start, managed to get that down to 2 seconds as opposed to 4 where he started off. But Abhi Thakur, who started P3, as far as I can recall, he's made his way up into P2, but he has unfortunately slipped out of the slipstream range of RKV. So our formation play, and he's side by side with Wildest Monk, who goes into the first braking zone of the track on that main straight. Wildest Monk slipping right behind the Ancient Pleb, doing the smart strategy here, not fighting drivers too much, because slipstream is quite important here on this track, and with the long straight this track has all around itself. Staying within that slipstream zone is highly important. So these drivers need to work together to get close down that gap to FSB in P3. So top 3 have broken up. Quite a bit of a gap to each other, but the battle for P4 is heating up. But Ancient Pleb, you can see he's pulling away the gap slightly. He's 7/10, but now with that another long straight, Wildest Monk should be able to reel him back in. Further back, Shami is keeping on Monk's tail. and I think Tech is one is just out of that slipstream range, but he should be able to close that down. He needs to be as brave as possible under this braking zone to get that done, but he is losing time, unfortunately. For the back, Fun Anywhere is 1.5 seconds behind. Just closely following him is Dan Law in P9. I think Shaz98 has left the session. I think some glitch has played its part, but RKV, he'll be breathing a sigh of relief. He is leading the race so far. Started on pole. He is in P1, getting it half a second as we just come on board with him. Abid Haku just under a second. He is within that slipstream zone. Just remember, 7/10 is that magical number where you need to be behind that driver if you need that slipstream. And Ancient Pleb has made his way up into P3. FSB has made some huge mistake, or I won't say terrible, but yeah, some mistake. He has lost a lot of ground on these drivers, and Monk has overtaken him as well, and he will be pretty soon under attack from Shambi. Oh, FSB has lost the back end. FSB has missed the braking zone, I guess, and he is into the back of the field where I can't go on to the FSB for some reason, but FSB, I think he is down into P9, so he is dead last, and it will be an uphill task to make his way up all the way. You can see on the minimap he is stationary on that part of the track, so not the best start of the race for him. He's got a 4-second penalty at the race start and then managed to lose his car towards the latter part of the lap. But RKV leading that lap from pole is just under 7/10 behind, in front of Abid. Oh, and you can see the back end that's stepping out. So lack of practice, maybe these cars are not driven as much as the normal GT3 or GT4 cars. So you can see the drivers won't be too comfortable driving that, so they'll be always on their toes trying to get the maximum performance out of this. Abid Haku, meanwhile, even after RKV's error, there's a bald guy, what's that? Whoever that was. So Abid Haku, even after RKV's mistake there, as RKV goes wide, so does Abid Haku, so they both should get time penalty for that. Nadeem Khogar has such a session. Maybe he failed to start the session. You can see the time penalty. RKV getting half a second. Abid Haku 1 second. Ancient Pleb, he is dragging Wildest Monk along with him, so I think we could see these two drivers work together to close down the gap. The gap at the moment is just over 3.5 seconds, 3.7 seconds. So the longer they work together, I think the better, with the pace advantage that Pleb has. I think these two should possibly close down the gap rather soon. Further back is there, and Abid Haku was out on his tail, so courtesy of this long streak, I think, and the slipstream advantage that Abby has, this should be, if Abby, I don't think Abid Haku is deciding to go for the move. He should be looking to make that move into that big braking zone that's coming up after this chicane, so we could see a possible change or swap of the leaders here. Further back, these two drivers hold on to the position, but Ancient Pleb has managed to get himself even more penalties trying to push his McLaren as much as possible. Take is 1.7 seconds behind Wildest Monk. He should be looking to join the party, and maybe we could see these three drivers working together, running the same livery, of course, and then try to close out the gap to the top two. RKV has managed to hold on to his lead at present, so maybe Abid Haku is playing the patient game, saving his fuel as much as possible, and of course avoiding staying in the pits for far too long. FSB, you can see how further back he is, so he did not pit, but the amount of time that he lost after that crash, and he must have crashed again somewhere, because that wasn't the gap when he made his way back on the track. So the race not going too well for FSB, who started P2, if I'm not wrong, if memory serves me right. He was on the front row of the grid, and at present he is dead last in P8. So Abid Haku again not making any moves on him. Doesn't look like that he is in a mood to make any move. The longer, I mean, if he decides to fight RKV, and the longer they fight, the better it will be for Ancient Pleb, Monk, and Take his one to close up to them. But you can see Abid Haku is not letting RKV through, even though staying right behind him, getting that dirty air to help him understand. You can see just losing the back-ended RKV, but he manages to catch hold of his car. So Nothing too fancy happening at the moment. Teg is one. You can see he has closed on the gap by 4/10, and pretty soon we could see him right on Ankur's or Wildest Monk's tail. So this should be interesting to see once Teg has joined this battle. Will he go for the overtake on Wildest Monk, or he'll work together with these two drivers? At present, I think if he is able to close on the gap, I think he should work with Wildest Monk, because the pace advantage that Ancient Pleb has over the grid at present, I think. This Chamois loses the back end on the entry of that chicane, of the first chicane, turn 2, if I'm not wrong, but managed to hold on. So I was saying, so if Teg decided to battle Wildest Monk when he catches up to this pack, and if that allows Ancient Pleb to just push even harder and pull up a gap of over 7/10, I think Pleb would heave a sigh of relief, and Monk will be really not happy with that. But you can see at present, at present Monk has pulled up a gap of over 2.5 seconds. It was half of that few corners ago, so Teg must have made some mistake in the initial part of this track. But at the moment you can see the third and fourth and first and second, they are holding on to their positions, but RKV has pulled up a gap of over a second now. It was 2/10 the last time we were on board with him. So some mistake from Abhi Thakur in this lap that I might have missed, of course, but the gap is not coming down as much as I would have expected, of course, Monk has made his move on the Ancient Pleb at the back. So these two possibly should work together, but if Monk feels that he has the pace of Ancient Pleb, you can see, Ancient Pleb is, let's be honest, is a tad bit quicker than Monk, but if Monk was able to stay right on Pleb's tail, I think Monk at the moment has the upper hand when it comes to race pace. So I think Monk decided to be the lead car of this mini 2-car pack and try to pull Ancient Pleb along with it. Fuel strategy will of course come into play. You can see Pleb's McLaren is already halfway down his fuel tire. It doesn't look too bad. Rays of course are getting affected more in this McLaren, but not so is the case with Monk. So Monk is managing his tire much better. That could be the case of just being the car that's following up. Abhi Thakur has made another mistake, and he is coming under attack from Wildest Monk pretty soon. The gap was over 3.5 seconds. It's just half of that now, and RKV has managed to pull up a gap of almost 3 seconds. RKV was our race winner in race 1, if I remember correctly, and was he the race winner? Sorry, my memory is not too good when it comes to remembering the result of the races, but you can see RKV is still struggling with it. His rear tires are not supporting him getting that power down onto these onto these corners, medium to slow corners, but it is helping him staying in P1. I think that's what he would like, and as long as he's doing it, you can see he's in the pits already. So fuel is not the issues for the drivers, it's the tire wear that's hindering their performances. So RKV is the first one to go into the pits. Monk is in the pits as well, so is Teg. Ancient Pleb has lost even more positions, so something must have happened. Ancient Pleb is not too happy with the tires, or he was trying to push too hard to be within the slipstream range, of Wildest Monk, and yeah, that must have made him lose his P4. So Dan Lord, he could be, it's a long pit stop by the way, and the drivers will be refueling, so Dan Lord could well be in P3. He just comes in front of Wildest Monk. So I think this should help the likes of RKV and so RKV is already out of the pit, so this should help the likes of RKV and Abhi Thakur, who are in front of Wildest Monk. Wildest Monk will catch up to Dan Lord pretty quickly. You can see the tire wear difference that these two drivers have in P3 and P4. So Monk will be right on Dan Lord's tail, and how difficult he will make the life of Wildest Monk while getting overtaken we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it will take too long. He is already under the slipstream range, so it should be a rather simple move for Wildest Monk, so he wouldn't have to sweat too much to make that move. So as opposed to what I was saying, I think this could help Wildest Monk just a tad bit more. Further back, take is one is in P5, followed up with Shammy, and Ancient Pleb, who was behind Shammy, tries to go for the move, but just didn't have enough space or speed on the Shammy to go for it. You can see all these three drivers have come out of the pits on fresh soft compound, all three of them on soft. So of course, Ancient Pleb, who started P7, he is in P7. I think he's in net P5 because Abby and Dan have to pit. So this is net P5 and they're battling for P3 on the track. So as long as Ancient Pleb is behind them, I think this is going to help for the Wildest Monk even more. The gap that Monk was able to pull up on Ancient Pleb is quite impressive before that pit stop. So you can see Ancient Pleb on the inside. I think this should be a regular move. And oh, did he ghost? So yeah, Ancient Pleb has ghosted for some reason. He has time penalty, so of course his car will ghost, trying to get that penalty timer down and allowing Shammy to go through him and back into P6. And he is under the slipstream range of take is one, and will help him to stay in P6 for that much longer. I don't think Ancient Pleb will send it on his inside. He is trying, but not enough space for Ancient Pleb to do anything about it. Wildest Monk, he is in that zone of his own. So I can't even bring my words together. So Abby Thakur is in P1. He will be coming into the pits. You can see his fuel gauge is absolutely depleted. Tire wear is not the best, and the gap, we'll stay on board with him just to give the viewers an idea of how much time he will be losing. He just got a 5-second penalty, I guess. So RKV was 14.4, and within a couple of corners he has lost 2 to 3 tenths. So Abby Thakur will come back out possibly in P2, because I think the gap between him and Monk was quite large. So let's see where Abby Thakur will come. He is going for the soft compound. Any position changes? Nothing that I can see. Take has managed to close up to Dan Lord, and Dan Lord, of course, as expected, is in the pits to change and refuel. And so is his car. The Wildest Monk is up into P2. Where is Abby Thakur? So Abby Thakur should come out. He's leaving the pits, and he will be right in the mix of this battle. Take is one, is bringing this 2-car pack along with him, right behind him. So from 2-car pack, suddenly it's a battle of 4 cars for P3. It was Pleb and Wildest Monk before the pit stop phase. Wildest Monk has gone into distance, and without making any mistakes, of course, that has helped him. The person who has not been helped is, of course, the Ancient Pleb, who was right on Monk's tail before that pit stop phase, and now he's trying to make his way through the traffic. He's down in P6. So that was a wonderful in-lap, I must say, from Abby Thakur, who has managed to stay in the podium contention. Pleb getting that half-a-second penalty, but if any silver lining is to be seen, Abby Thakur has over 6 seconds of penalty, but of course, with just over 24 minutes to go, that 6 seconds time penalty will come down. As the race progresses, you can see how much Ancient Pleb is trying to get in front. Was there any contact? Pleb is ghosting quite a bit, and yeah, that has allowed Tech is one in P4 to pull up a gap of over a second, and you can see how much battling through the corners have affected these two drivers, and they are out of the slipstream zone. And I think Shammy will be a sitting duck on this straight, and as a matter of fact, Shammy didn't fight that too much and looks like he gave that position very easily without any fight. So thinking of working together, allowing Ancient Pleb to pull him up to the back once again and get involved in that battle for P3. Further back, Dan Lord, who just sent a message on the game chat. So is he driving or typing? So must have made some mistake. Frisbee, it's not the best of races for him, unfortunately. RKV up by 6 seconds over P2. So he's having a pretty solid race for himself. Start on pole, and at the moment, I think he's led every lap except one where Abhi Thakur stayed out for one extra lap. Wildest Monk, Mr. Consistent, as I like to call him, he has made his way up into P2. So showing us once again, race after race, that is not how quick you are over one lap, it's race pace where everything matters. So well done once again. Abhi Thakur is pulling up some gap from Teg as well. Teg going really deep into the corner, missing the brakes completely and trying to get onto the power. It just loses the back end and loses all those positions, and he's out of the slipstream. So Teg, this is not going to help his cause if he's to fight for that podium positions. Look at the gap that he's or the time that he's lost, 3 seconds, almost 3 seconds at the moment. He was up, he was well clear of that slipstream zone, and now he is having to fight for it. Ancient Pleb, he's still behind Shami, and so Shami is doing a pretty impressive job of defending throughout the track, and the track that has considerable amount of long straights, and the slipstream is OP in this game. So either Ancient Pleb is fuel saving, or Shami is doing a pretty impressive job of holding him back. So we should know that after 21 minutes and 46 seconds how good he was. Let's do a quick flick between these drivers to see what the fuel situation is. Ancient Pleb has over half a tank of fuel. Compared that to Shami, it's under half a tank. I believe they both fueled up their car to the brim, and Ancient Pleb is definitely playing a waiting game. Pleb is 50.5 seconds behind the race leader in RKV, so how his strategy will play up, we'll have to see. We're almost at the halfway distance mark of the race here. Dan Lord has made yet another pit stop. He is literally at the end of his fuel. FSB, he is having quite a lonely race. Speaking of lonely race, we have RKV up into P1. So our race leader and a driver in P8, they are not having quite the best of times. At least I can say that for one of those drivers. RKV won't complain too much. He is pulling up a gap from Wildest Monk, and the gap is just under 7 seconds. Wildest Monk, he is keeping up, trying to keep up with RKV. The gap has been pretty consistent throughout, but the good thing is that even if he's not able to close down the gap to RKV as quickly as he would like, he is able to build up some gap to Abhi Thakur in P3, who has managed to get that penalty down from 6.2 to 5.4. So, and with the amount of time the race has, I think he should be able to get that down even more. Shami, you can see the Ancient Pleb at the back, losing the back end on the exit, trying to get on the power as quickly as possible, and not, you can see the tire weight, it's not the best. So, losing the back end just that bit, and for Teg is one sake. He is within that DRS. Why do I say? I mean, these cars have DRS, but I'm an F1 guy, so apologies for my use of terminologies. And you can see Ancient Pleb going deep into that corner, and what happened there? He just ghosted through Ancient Pleb. Ancient Pleb possibly trying to get that time penalty down. That must have ghosted his car, and Teg is one taking full advantage of that and going through him. And he's up into P5. So these two drivers have to work together to get in the slipstream of Shami. So Shami will be relieved at the moment. He can stop looking at his rearview mirror for some times and concentrate on the car ahead and try to pull down that gap from 4.3 that it is currently. Teg is over a second in front of Ancient Pleb. So Ancient Pleb at the moment looks like, rather than fuel saving, he looks like that he's not comfortable with the car. He is losing time and positions as quickly as none of us are used to seeing him do. You can see how wide he's going. He's understeering at almost every medium and fast corner. So possibly can we see Ancient Pleb back at the pits again? We'll have to wait and see, and we should know that after some time. RKB, our race leader, is in the pits, so he is having a race of his own, and so is Wildest Monk. We're not in the worst situation is Wildest Monk, but I think Monk knows that if he stays out a lap longer, he will lose a heap of time to... Oh, you can see Ancient Pleb missing the braking zone again, and he's into the wall. Not the best of evenings from Ancient Pleb, I'm afraid. And I mean, he can still get decent distance out of this race, possibly get that win if he can show his true pace and if he's comfortable with the car. But at the moment, the way he has driven so far doesn't look like that. At least the race win is in question, but you never know. I mean, these drivers who are in front can make errors as well, as we've seen from most of the drivers tonight. So it's not over unless it's over, as I say. So Ancient Pleb is still very much in with the pace that he has. Abby Taku deciding to stay out longer, and he can, because his tire is not too bad. He has half a tank of fuel, so maybe 2 more laps and he should be in. And speaking of staying out on track, he has managed to get himself time penalty, and he's drifting through the chicane. So we've seen from almost every driver that they are losing the back end, in the traction zones, at the exit of slower corners. They are, as I said, most of the drivers are used to driving the GT3s and GT4s, and in which you can really just floor the throttle once your car has straightened up at the exit of the corner. Doesn't look like the case in this car. It looks quite a challenge to tame this McLaren, and I think that's what everyone's feeling. You can see Ancient Pleb losing the back end once again, getting himself a time penalty in the process. And Degas one is staying right behind him. Will he go for the move? He is close enough, and this should be a rather simple move for him, because he's there. He's working together. Oh, what's going on? So there is some lag issue between these two drivers. You can see now Ancient Pleb is in front, so they are driving through each other, Dig and Pleb. But as long as they don't take each other out, I think it's all good. But definitely there is some connection issue in between these two drivers. Shammy meanwhile has closed on the gap to Monk somehow. So Monk must have made some mistake. He was quite a far ahead from Shammy the last time we checked before the pit stop. You can see for the back, the Ancient Pleb has missed his braking zone once again. So it's that corner that he's losing a lot of time, and he will continue to do so at least until the end of this long straight. So Shammy has closed on the gap to Monk. They're both on the racing soft, both pitted on the same lap. Fuel situation wise, Monk stayed in for a bit longer than Shammy. So Shammy has less fuel than Monk, and that explains why he's that close to him after the pit stop phase. RKV, our net race leader, is 9.5 seconds behind Abby Thakur, and Abby he can stay on for one more lap, but the tire wear is not looking too good for him. So we should see Abby come into the pits at the end of this lap. Will he? He does not. He stays out for another lap. So keep that number in mind, 9.1 second, the gap between him and RKV, and we will come back to check on this gap after a few minutes. So 9.1, the gap is between him and our net race leader at the start of this lap 7. Further back, Teg is one, or should I say Ancient Pleb has managed to close on the gap back to just over 1 second. It was 1.3 seconds the last time Ancient Pleb lost his back end under the braking zone at the end of that back straight. So Ancient Pleb trying his art. He is trying to push and possibly get a podium. You can see he is getting penalties of the corners just to stay with the driver to help him slipstream of the drivers in front. But at the moment it's not enough. The gap is 30.5 seconds. I think it should be around 20 seconds to RKV, who is our net race leader, but it's not enough. I believe with 13.5 minutes to go, these drivers will come in for one more lap. One thing that I haven't noticed, the fastest lap belongs to Teg, is one with a 3 minute 31.127. You can see Ancient Pleb trying to push even more, goes wide. He has 2.2, but I think he will get more penalty for that. Yeah, 2.7, so half a second penalty for track extension. But what this will do is get a good run into that braking zone. and possibly take P5 away from him if he's close enough, which doesn't look like is the case. So Take will stay D5 for a little while longer. Shami has lost a lot of time to Wireless Monk. He was right on his tail, but he is losing time. Yeah, so Wireless Monk is continuing on his merry way. So the race leader, our net race leader, and our current race leader, the gap between them was 9.1 seconds. It's down by 1.1 seconds. We've completed half a lap at the moment. So 1.5 seconds, so 3 seconds, possibly a lap on an average, is what Abhi Thakur is losing. But at the moment, how gap stands, Abhi Thakur should be out in probably P2 and P3 at max. I think he will slot in right behind Wireless Monk and Shami if my calculations are correct. And you can see Shami is losing the back end. 1 second. Real Asian player break on time at this at this lap. He did manage to get hold of that McLaren right on time, right on cue, not losing the back end as you see him do for most of the race. So starting P7 up, yeah, I can say he's up by position in P6, but he was in the podium contention, remember, at the start of this race, and the way the race has panned out, it's not good by his standards. So, but again, there are 11.5 minutes to go, so anything can happen. The leaders can bottle the race, you know, anything. We can see anything. RKV is 6.8 seconds. Abhi Thakur will definitely come in. His fuel light is calling him in, or fuel indicator rather, and we should see Abhi Thakur come into the pits. Let's hope he doesn't go into the wall like Ancient Pleb did in his in-lap, and no, commentator's curse. Abhi Thakur has done the Ancient Pleb and he has said hello to the wall. That will lose him time for sure. So Shami could very well overtake him on the pit exit lane. Should be interesting. Let's stay on board with Shami here, because I think this is where Abhi Thakur will slot. He will stay on board with him. I don't see any more battles on the track at the moment. Let's see where Abhi will come out, and if he goes for a full tank of fuel, I think Shami's managed to jump. Abhi Thakur, Tegus one has managed to jump him as well. So you can see the amount of time that Abhi Thakur has lost just because of that collision with the wall. I think without that collision, Abhi Thakur would have been in P4. But he has, fortunately for him, he has come out just in front of struggling Ancient Pleb. I know it's not an adjective that you get to associate with Pleb, but tonight that looks like the case, that we could see Abhi Thakur pull away a gap from Ancient Pleb. But one thing that's not helping Abhi Thakur is the rate at which he's collecting penalties, and I think he went wide on that exit. What happened there? And yeah, you can see even more penalties. So he has over 7 seconds of penalty. So he needs to get that penalty down and try to catch up to Take, and of course possibly hold back Ancient Pleb in the process as well, who himself has 2.5 seconds penalty, but that's any day better than 6.6 seconds worth of penalties. RKV is literally in a zone of his own. Tegus1 has a 3 minute 31.127. RKV is not close to that lap time, but as long as he can stay in P1 and pull up a gap to P2, I don't think RKV will complain. As I was speaking, he loses back and he's into the gravel. He has missed the braking zone completely. So once again, the commentator's curse has done its witchcraft magic, and RKV has been that lead, and he's still very much in a comfortable position, but 3.5 seconds is a less comforting gap than 11.5 seconds. So he's lost 8 seconds in that braking zone alone, and you can see the damage he has suffered on his front bumper and suspension. So his top end speed will be affected, which has managed to heal itself magically. But Wireless Monk will be looking to go on the attack on RKV. RKV has a 1 second penalty, but so does the Wildest Monk. So Wildest Monk is very much in the zone to win this race out of nowhere. RKV making that terrible mistake. He was finding no one. He had clear air in front and behind him, so it was just a lapse in concentration, and that's something that could happen if you're driving on your own. You are battling no one, so maybe RKV got bored alone at the front, and I just lost concentration and just took it to the wall. But he is 3 seconds in front still. The gap hasn't come down massively, so it's all nice and good for RKV, our race leader. Wildest Monk in P2. Shami has lost a lot of time. 6.2. He is coming under attack from Abitago, and further back Teg is one still holding on to P5. RKV and Wildest Monk are in the pit, and that should be for the final time. So is Tech, so is Ancient Pleb. Ancient Pleb ghosting through, and he's hit the wall once again. Ancient Pleb, what's there on that wall? I would like to know. That only Monk, sorry, not Monk, Abby Thakur and Ancient Pleb are seeing on that entry. So if these drivers in this lobby manage to watch that race, please let me know what do I see in that wall that you are going straight through it. Meanwhile, jokes aside, Monk is out of the pits and he is in net P2. Remember, RKV is in net P3. So RKV getting that slightly bit of extra fuel to go. Not so much of an issue for Abby Thakur. So Abby Thakur can possibly go all the way to the end, with judging by the current lap times and the time that's remaining. This race should be over in the next 2 laps. So this is very well the penultimate lap. So Abby Thakur can stay out for the rest of the lap without pitting. Rest of the race, I'm sorry, without pitting. It's all up to Wildest Monk to try to catch up to him. He has managed to get a jump on RKV somehow in the pit phase. Shami is in P4, Ancient Pleb in P5. Even after winning it at the entry, he has come out in front of Tech. So it's quite interesting pit stop we've seen throughout the race. The driver who entered first in the pits doesn't necessarily come out in front. So it's all, I think it's all down to how much fuel that you take while you are in the pits. So but Teg has lost a lot of time. He's 4.5 seconds behind Ancient Pleb. Remember, Teg was the first one to pit in, and Pleb was right on his tail. But somehow, Pleb has managed to pull up that amount of gap on Teg. So something that we'll know after the race once we have a word with these drivers. But Wildest Monk is being hounded so quickly by RKV. The gap is 1.5 seconds. It was much more. I don't remember how much, but it was much more than 1.5 seconds. So RKV is pushing, but good thing for Wildest Monk is that he has a 2.5 seconds penalty, RKV. So RKV needs to slow down, possibly take it easy and get that time penalty down. The gap is not coming down as quickly as I expected. The gap is still 7.9 and the penalty is 7.9. So Abhi Thakur, as long as he can stay in front, 7.5 seconds, so he is losing time quite rapidly. Is Abhi Thakur to the Wildest Monk, who has pulled up a gap to RKV. So RKV is trying to push in the final stage of this race, trying to take that P1 away from Wildest Monk. He was leading the entirety of this race, and he finds himself down into P3. This could be net P3. I don't think Abhi Thakur will be pitting anymore. But what Abhi Thakur will be doing is a lot of, not a lot of, but fuel saving in certain corners to help his fuel and of course his tires to take him all the way to the end. But other thing that could stop him get that P1 is that time penalty. Over 7.5 seconds is not a good number to see if you're a race leader, and the gap is not even 7 seconds. So Wildest Monk could very well take the checkered flag in P1 if things go well and doesn't manage to make any more mistakes. So we start our final lap. So wait a minute. So at this moment, look, the race has taken quite an interesting turn here. If my sight was right, Wildest Monk crossed that finish line after the time was down by less than 3.5 minutes. The lap time is over 3.5 minutes of the normal lap times that they're doing. Of course, it shows 3 minutes 28 seconds, but that's their out lap once they've come out of the pits. So the average lap. Oh no, Abby Thakur has binned it. Oh, what was I saying? Abby Thakur needs to stay in front, but I don't think that will be the case. Oh, he's lost it. He's lost the race win. I think Abby Thakur has lost the race win here. So I was saying that Abby Thakur managed to cross that start-finish line when the timer was over 3.5 minutes. Wildest Monk didn't do that. RKV didn't do that. So all Abby Thakur had to do was cross that finish line before these two drivers, and he would have had this race win in the back, and he would have won by a lap over everyone else. But oh, come on, what's happening here? I mean, as soon as I speak something about any of the drivers, these drivers are just winning it. And Abby Thakur, who could have won this race, is down in P3, and I don't think him improving on a time beyond that. He can lose it. He has 5.9 seconds, so he will fall down below Shami. But he has totally binned what would have been P1 tonight. Get it? P1 in P1. Okay, sorry. So Wildest Monk is our net race leader. Closely following him up is RKV, who has 6/10 worth of time penalty. So RKV could be in an aggressive mode here in the final half of this lap. Half a second penalty down, more for him to go, but he needs to be as close as possible to Wildest Monk to battle him through the corners, to make him and himself so that the penalty timer gets down as quickly as he would like. You can see it's 1.5. It was half a second. Now it's 0 seconds. So he has managed to get that gap down to nothing. Gap down to nothing. Penalty down to nothing. So it's all here to play for. The gap is 7/10. He is in the slipstream zone. He can still win this race. So this is a race for P1 till the end of this race. Abby Thakur, who could have had P1 literally by lapping everyone, he's down into P3. I think that's where he'll finish. Shami looks good to finish P4. Asian play P5. Teg has lost a lot of time. He is down in P6. Danlord in P7, and FSB having a lonely race throughout in P8. But fair play, he is scanning on. But someone who has been putting in consistent lap time or better lap times than the rest of the field is coming up to the penultimate chicane of the track, taking it smooth and comfortably. He has enough gap to the driver behind, and I think RKV has pulled up, taking that final corner for the final time. Wildest Monk has won the race 3 of Farewell 2020 series, and Wildest Monk, with his consistency, has won this race away from RKV. So, and Shami is taking where's Abby? Oh, I think that's because of the penalty situation that Abby had, and he is out of the podium contention. He could have won that race, but he is P4. Ancient Pleb, not the best of the race. Didn't look comfortable at all in this car, but P5 is still a decent result. Teg finishing in P6. Dan Lord will finish in P7. He is half a minute in front of FSB, who has been driving on his own through the entirety of this race. So P8 definitely carries points, and this will help him in the final championship standing as we go into the final race in a couple of days' time. And yeah, well done to him to both of these drivers to staying for as long as both of them did. So just a couple of chicanes to go for Dan Lord, and he will have that P7 sealed and into the record books. FSB is quite a way back, so not the best race. He's almost 2 minutes behind our race winner, Wildest Monk, but he'll be happy with that. Just 2.5 minutes for the time to strike 0, but The race should be over much before that. I need to get a sip of water, excuse me. Oh, okay. Yeah, water is good. so yeah, FreeSB, the last one to cross the finish line and take the checkered flag. Yeah, that's everyone else who have taken that. One DNF in Fun Anywhere, unfortunately, and fastest lap belonged to RKV, so he did manage to take that away from Tig. Yeah, so well done for that. And Wildest Monk, Mr. Consistent, starting last, finishing first in P1, just under a second in front of RKV, and Shami rounding off the podium in P3. Abhi Thakur, he wouldn't be happy with his final lap. He could have definitely had P1 tonight, but he'll have to be content with P4. Ancient Pleb in P5, Teg in P6, Stanlord in P7, and FreeSB, our last race runner, in P8. I think this was Shehbaz and Fun Anywhere, our two DNFs. So this has been Caesar, bringing you all the action from Circuit de la Sarthe, and yeah, we'll see you for the final round in a couple of days' time. Until then, it's good night.